We're rolling.
Well, I am excited. I say this before every guest, but this guest I'm so excited about because just like me, her face melts when it gets wet too. You'll get the joke when you find out who she is.
God,
you see what I did there?
Bad.
Okay, thank you. I was proud of it. This is going to be fascinating because joining us on the podcast today is Wendy, who is a real-life high priestess, psychic, and witch. I say that with so much love because I'm fascinated with witches. It's my favorite Halloween creature. And
creature?
Well, I don't know what you call it. See, this is why we're going to talk about it all.
I love it.
But I really love witches, and there's this theory that gay men are so attracted to witches because women historically are oppressed, and witches are magical that like fought against the man back in the day. And I don't know. I used to be into witch trials and read all about it. So thanks for being here. Hi.
It's such an honor. Thank you for having me. I'm just so excited. You guys are awesome. I watch your stuff, and you crack me up, but you also educate me. I love the way you interview as well, both of you. And,
We like to say we're an educational podcast at times.
You hear it from Wendy. She's psychic. She knows.
It's a learning thing because you guys are willing to expand your knowledge with your guests and with the things you talk about. I love it.
And like we say to all our guests too, is we don't mean offense or by anything we ask.
Here's the
just half the
disclaimer.
time it's because we're just ignorant.
That's right.
And we try to break down those barriers and learn what the proper terms are and what's offensive and what's not offensive. We're all beginners here.
That's
I think
it.
so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Well, and it's a good point because a lot of the time in different communities, whether it's fetish or anything to do with like metaphysical, some people can be very sensitive that other people are ignorant. And so it's so fun when we find cool people like you that can come and answer questions like, how many men have you turned into frogs? You know?
Quite a few.
See?
Quite a
Watch out, John.
few.
Watch out.
I turned them back though.
You do you.
I was wondering about that melting face comment, and I hope you don't have a bucket of water next to you.
I don't, just wine.
I'm melting.
And I know you're okay with wine because you've already been sipping it.
I am,
so.
and it won't melt my face.
Good. So, oh my gosh, where do we start? I guess, well, what is a high priestess?
I'm an ordained. It's sort of an ordained, I would say, in the clergy kind of category for a registered, organized group in New York. In 2000, I was ordained, and it's a role of clergy of a sort for a coven, actually.
Okay, so coven doesn't necessarily mean that you're practicing Wiccan. A coven is just a group of witches.
That's right.
Okay.
It's a group, and they're also called dens. There's other names for these groups, but it's a collective group working together, and there's usually a high priest, a high priestess, a crone mother, and sometimes a maiden role in that as well. But and the ordination I take so serious because it also is a commitment in a way to help people be educated on what this is about.
So when you do meet with your coven, is this like a book club? Everybody brings a bottle of wine, you sit around, shares, like what goes on?
Yeah, I'm not actively involved with that coven anymore. Its original founder passed away in July, and when I moved away from Rochester, New York, which is where I'm originally from. It's called beehiving off of my coven, and I still stay in touch and stayed in touch with them, but they ordained another high priestess to sort of take my role. But when I was active with them, we would get together for full moon ceremonies, for new moon ceremonies, during the equinox and the solstices, and we had a group of wonderful open people where we would just celebrate Earth and celebrate life and learn things together and share information and expand together in an ethical fashion.
Are there snacks?
For sure. Really good snacks. Yes, and plenty of wine and fires and communication. And I've been involved with quite a few different covens, just sitting in and working with them. I've been involved with groups of covens that are all AA members, and recovering, which of course I am not, and with groups of covens that are sometimes all female, sometimes more leaning into masculine. So it's kind of open to anybody. A lot of people think witches are just female.
So you're not, what's the difference then between a witch and a warlock?
Oh, I just love this question.
Because I'll tell you why, sorry to interrupt you, but
Please
as a kid, I was obsessed with witches, and my dad would say, you can't be a witch, you're a warlock. And I'd say, no, I want to be a witch.
Yes.
I want to fly on the broom. And he would fight me on it. And so, yeah, I've always wondered, what is the difference then?
A male witch is a witch.
Okay.
A warlock, if you look up the definition of warlock, it says oath breaker. But to me, a lot of people feel that as a witch, as male witches are warlocks because that's what they do in movies and that kind of stuff. But warlocks to me, maybe I guess are people who like alternative approaches to their religion or their practices. But technically, a male witch is a witch.
Right.
And a warlock, I'm not sure exactly what that is because I don't know a lot of them.
Well, this isn't about warlocks, it's about witches, so that's fine.
Thank goodness.
When we were talking to Matthew Stapley, who
Yay.
you're very good friends with and
Yes.
is a really good friend of our show even before we had this podcast.
Yeah.
You know, we talked a lot about his story and when
Yes.
he first discovered his abilities and all that. If you're a witch, is there something that clicks or is it more like something you become interested in? Or do you feel like it's something that's already in your DNA?
I love that. I feel like it's always been there. I was raised Protestant. My parents, wonderful and very much involved in their church. But when I was young, like you were saying, you went to the library and got a bunch of books or you kind of found that section.
In chapters,
at
the
chapters.
witchcraft section.
That's what the stuff I was looking up even when I was like 10 and 11 years old.
Yeah.
And, you know, my parents put me in therapy.
Oh my gosh.
Because it was a little weird, right? You know, this is weird. Go look up other books. But I found that stuff interesting. I really got into occult practices and things and studying sort of energy work and all that at a fairly young age. I think it's always been there for me.
Right.
For me. I wasn't raised this way.
So it's not necessarily an interest, more so it is something that's a bit ingrained in your DNA.
Yes,
That it's
a
a
lifestyle.
feeling, not just a, hey, I watched The Craft too many times
right.
and now I'm going to go
Dun, dun.
and buy a bunch of incense and some cool looking books and burn some grass.
Yeah.
Well, for some people though, that's how they come to it. You
Yeah.
know, for some people, it's a lifestyle, right? It's a lifestyle practice, and some people come to it having been intrigued by learning about it later in life, and that's okay. It's sort of one size fits all. It's
Right.
open to everybody.
There's no rules.
Not really, other than not to harm anybody,
Right.
And to come from a place of for the highest good, no matter what you do.
Okay,
Which
so
wasn't on Craft.
No,
Remember,
no.
she
of
went in the
course
dark
not.
alley and then everything blew up.
same with Wizard of Oz. We saw
That's
how
why
that
I grew
ended.
up.
Exactly.
Yes.
So you're a good witch? Are you a good witch or a bad witch, Wendy?
Well, I think I'm a neutral witch. To me,
Oh.
it's not about all good or all bad. I think we all have sort of all sides in us,
Right.
and it's about ethics to me. It's about doing what's right, and what some people might perceive as bad. If it's for the highest good or helpful to me, I don't know. It depends. Bad is a hard word to define.
Oh,
and
it's like-
so is good.
How you see villains in movies never think they're evil, right? They're doing what they
Yeah.
think is right.
Yeah, but I think also it's about empowerment and it's about energy use, and I think you can aim at any direction, whether you're in a good place mentally or emotionally. If you're in a sour spot mentally and emotionally with all the best intentions, you could stir up some trouble, right?
Okay. So how do you feel about like love spells then? Because I know there's very divided schools of thought on that. Like you're playing with fire, you're controlling people's emotions, but it's also a nice thing. You're manifesting love.
I think if you're manifesting love for yourself for the highest good, that's okay. If you're out there trying to manipulate someone else's will, oh, no. I just think,
So you're telling me I should get rid of my Drake voodoo doll?
take that guy out of the freezer. Yes, no names attached. It's really about bringing towards you that which is for your highest good,
Right.
the best fit for you. And sometimes we don't know what we need till it comes. So it's hard to request it in a spell. I'm really a lot of people think that witchcraft is all about spells, and that's just a small piece of it, which really goes into the category of energy work.
Okay.
But to me, a lot of people think, oh, I'm gonna do this to make like things float and to make people bid to my willing. And,
Yeah.
It's really a small piece of this lifestyle and this practice. It's really about working with energy for the highest good.
Okay. And you mentioned the moon ceremonies and like the solstice.
Yeah.
Do you have to be naked? Do you dance under the moon naked, Wendy?
You can if you want to be.
I would be. I would be.
I would be too. You can if you want to be. I've worked with groups that really like that, and I've worked with groups that don't like that as well.
Okay. And what is the purpose of a solstice moon ceremony?
It's about looking ahead to sort of plan things that you want to have come into your life as you move forward, letting go of the old to make way for the new, just celebrating that and working on kind of clearing away rubbish that gets in your way as you move forward, and celebrating that under the moon.
Okay, it's almost like the seasons, right? Like
Very much so.
But like, I'm trying to wrap my head around witches that are Wiccan and not.
Yeah.
You said you're not.
No.
What's the difference?
Wicca is a religion. And being pagan or a witch does not subscribe to any religion particular. You can be a Catholic witch. You can be a Christian witch, a Jewish witch.
Okay.
I went to Catholic school. Trust me, there's a lot of Catholic witches out there.
You can,
They were my teachers.
be any religion you want within this practice. But if you're Wiccan, that is a actual religion. It's fairly young. It's not that old of a religion.
Okay.
Early 50s, late 40s was sort of designed.
And it's based around nature, from what I understand,
Very
a lot
much.
of it.
The cycles of nature, reminding ourselves to be very rooted to the earth and the earth elements, and just very much about respecting our planet and
It's
cycles
nice.
of life. Life is all about
Yeah.
cycles, eh? So
Right.
we see that in nature all the time.
We do.
Yeah.
So are there witches then that are bad and
Yeah.
worship the devil? Is that a real thing, or is that a Hollywood creation?
Interesting. This is such a great question, because a lot of witches don't even believe in the devil. A lot
really?
of them don't even believe in that. Now, it's not to say that
Because that's a Christian concept, right? Like,
it is.
yeah.
But it stems very much from Sumerian, Babylonian gods.
Everything does,
way
yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Exactly. But a lot of witches do not even subscribe to that extreme good, extreme evil
Right, okay.
thing. So there are also a lot of people who, in my opinion, kind of use the title of being a witch to practice dark workings and wrongdoings, I suppose. Wrong seems judgmental, but twisting energy in a way that is not healthy, or aligning themselves with energies that are
Bad or
destructive,
evil, dark.
Yes. And I think it's a cloudy area. I can only speak personally for myself,
Yeah.
and it is. I don't subscribe to that huge sort of hell and brimstone kind of concept myself.
But it's fun to talk about.
It is super fun and great in movies.
How has being a witch, how would your life be different if it wasn't for that side of your life? You know, because you said you figured it out when you were pretty young.
Yeah.
And it must have helped you rationalize a lot of things that occurred in your life as well.
Yeah.
What's the most benefit? Like, I don't know. This is the worst question.
No, I love it.
You see what I'm saying?
I love it.
Yes,
It's
yeah.
a really interesting question, and I've never ever thought of that.
Yeah.
For me, I think it's helped tremendously in being able to process things, to learn that there's a lesson behind everything, that I'm not a victim to my story, that I am, that I can be empowered, that I can re-ground myself back into my practices and my ritual to understand sort of the cycles of my life, the patterns that I'm creating. So if I didn't have that in my life, I would hope that I would have somehow found those skills in some way. It's hard to discern how I would be different. I don't know what religion. I probably would lean very much into Zen Buddhism myself, you know, from that sort of gentle, we are one sort of enlightenment type of direction, I suppose, which I already do. I study a little bit of that and work with that, but I'm not sure. It's a tough one for me to answer.
It must help you get through really tough times because you don't see things as like, this is the end of it. It's just, this is the path and this is kind of the curve in the path and the path is going to continue.
And a process.
Yeah. Whereas a lot of people, especially these days, where everything's black and white. It's like, this crappy thing happened to me. I'm just going to wallow in it and there's no future beyond this. Whereas it's almost like you can see more than just that curve in the road.
Well, it's empowering, right? Because
Yeah.
you feel like you do have some control in a way over your destiny, which we all do.
I think so. I think we all use energy. I think it's really, I think it's something that I think everybody should learn a little bit about, is working with these cycles and recognizing our own patterns within it and where we fit within those cycles. So it's,
So when you say a cycle, what do you mean? Do you mean like a monthly cycle, like when a woman has her cycle? Like, is that the same sort of idea?
That's a great question, because it is true. I mean, those are cycles. We all have cycles in our life, but I mean, we can go in and out of cycles on a weekly basis, even, or on a yearly basis of repeated patterns, repeated self-abuse, our self-talk, repeating the same failings, say, in relationships or interpersonal things or work-related combinations where, sometimes you catch yourself and you're thinking, I've done this before, this keeps happening to me. And my feeling is as soon as you recognize it, you're empowered to understand why am I doing this and how do I shift and change this? You're empowered. Okay. So everything's in cycles with life, I think.
Well, it's like astrology too, right? Astrology is in cycles.
Yes,
is it not? And do you use a lot of astrology in your life?
I do not. No, I don't. I've not studied a whole lot of astrology. I know a lot of people that do, and I consult them occasionally. But no, I haven't studied a lot of that myself.
Right.
Do you have a moment, Wendy, that's like, that you were surprised by your own practice? Like, did something, whether it was a spell or something kind of like, abracadabra?
Are spells for real, first of all? We need to know. Are spells for real?
I believe that they are. I don't think that they're as laser beam pointed as maybe people think that I can like shoot intention out of my fingertip and make someone stand on their head or something crazy or turn them into a toad.
Where does the toad thing come from?
Disney?
Disney? Is it Disney?
Disney.
I don't know.
But working with energy, sympathetic energy, you can do, say, kitchen witchery, where you're creating food for healing, where your intention while cutting it, your intention while cooking it, and the components, even while you're shopping for it, is to charge it with the intention for healing, the intention that it's going to be good for your body. The suggestion of that, the action of it, is in a form of energy work and spell work. So I believe spell work is real. I feel like it's not, again, about blasting things open and levitating as much as it is about being very conscientious of your choices, your actions, the placement of things, using crystals, stones, whether you're working with the north, south, east, or west energy, to sort of bring together an intentional ball of energy that goes along with your actions. I hope that makes sense.
It does.
That was very long-winded.
I'm seeing the connection between Zen Buddhism now because it is all very energy-based.
It's all about intention, too.
And energy.
Yeah,
that's the big
owning it.
So you said something about levitating before, and I just have to ask this question before it slips out of my mind. But when we were younger at sleepovers, we used to do light as a feather, stiff as a board.
Yeah.
Is there really something to that, or where we just have so many fingers on this person's body and we weighed like 60 pounds at the time that we were actually able to do it?
I just snorted.
I just have so many questions about those weird things that we used to do when we were younger.
Yeah.
Light as a feather, stiff as a board. Bloody Mary was another one that was very out there. Even the Ouija board. Like back in the day, I was like all about Ouija board, but now don't bring it around me. I don't trust it. I don't know what it is. I don't know how to control it. So I guess we'll start off with light as a feather, stiff as a board.
Let's start with that. I think that's physics. And intention.
Damn it. That's not the answer I wanted, Wendy.
And you get 10 girls around one girl. You can lift her.
60 pounds, right?
I think that it's about the person being stiff and telling themselves to be stiff, which makes the process of lifting them easier. If you've ever tried to move someone who's not able to move very well and they're dead weight, but then this is that participating in that. And I think that those stories get so beautifully blown up into kind of folklore of a sort. And to me, I think that's physics. I will say, though I love intention. With Ouija, interesting, because Ouija to me it's a tool for psychic work that to me, the tool itself is not evil. What I think, my own personal opinion, is that it's sold as a game. It's not sold as a crystal ball or a tarot deck in most shops. And it's also not included with open it up safely, only work with it for the highest good. A lot of times you get people lighting black candles and chanting around it. They're drunk, they're having fun, and they want to conjure something. And I do feel that it can be sort of a portal of a sort.
Right.
And so to me, I think that it would be so much better packaged right, sold in the right locations with the right directions attached to it. It's gotten a really rough reputation.
Hear that, Mattel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so is that because, let's say you are using a Ouija board properly, the dark spirits or the bad energy can sneak in easily? if you're not careful.
If you're using it properly, which is for any tool. If we're doing a tea leaf reading, if we're reading tarot, if we're just going to sit and do any kind of energy work like that, to really do it in a high vibrational, high frequency energy that is, again, light and bright, that you're demanding that no negativity is coming through. You have to make sure that you're also sober and of sound mind.
Well, there goes 20 hours of my day.
And all those parties. But, you know, it is about using it with conscientious intention for the highest good.
Okay.
Or you will get stuff slipping through.
So you believe in ghosts, obviously.
I do.
Wow. Okay. What do you think? What is the afterlife to you then?
I love that.
Or what happens when we move on? Where do we go? What happens to our energy?
You know, I don't have a across-the-board answer to that. I think it's unique to our own choices and belief. I think we still maintain the power of choice as we cross over. So to me, when people are like, which religion's right? You know, who wins in the end? I think that to each person as they cross into that state, they're bringing with them the projection of what they expect it to be in many ways. So what do I feel? I feel that, what is it? I think it's about choice still. I think we can choose to, I think sometimes we have to go and expand and learn, you know, grow a bit as a soul. I think that some people maybe choose to come back in and be reborn. Others choose to stay on the other side and maybe stick around and help their loved ones. So for me, I think it's as unique as people themselves as well. And animals and plants.
Because science is getting closer to doing more research on the afterlife and energy. And it's proven at this point that energy cannot be destroyed. It can only change state. So
that's correct.
When you die, your energy has to go somewhere. Science knows that now. It's just we don't know where that goes. And that's what's cool to me.
I worked in healthcare for a long time, and I worked in hospice, and I worked with an awful lot of people, and in geriatrics, ventilator unit, and I worked with people who were crossing over. And I'm a skeptic. As much as I'm really into energy work, I'm also very skeptical. And I had some experiences that are unexplainable where
I just got chills.
I saw light energies around the beds sometimes that were just there, sort of just waiting to escort their loved one over. I've seen what appears to be a mist leaving bodies. I had a lady who I loved, first name Eleanor. As she passed, I had taken care of her for about 3.5 years. And when she crossed over, I was there bedside with her when she crossed. And of course, it's a great honor to help somebody, you know, to take care of them for their loved ones to come view. You know, that to me is a very honorable role. And when she crossed, I knew she was gone. And I, you know, closed her eyes and was just, you know, closing her mouth, and I felt a hand on my shoulder, and it felt as real as if I touched you, and it was even warm, and I turned around, getting goosebumps telling you this story, and I turned around, and there was Eleanor, and she was just smiling at me and nodding, and I'm kind of emotional.
Thank you.
It changed me.
Yeah.
It changed me.
What did she look? Was she like a ghost? Could you see through her, or did it look like her?
In that moment, I could not see through her. She was as real as what you and I would appear,
oh my God.
And it was life-changing for me.
And it was quick, right?
It was quick, and then she just kind of drifted away, and I got very emotional and really like, you know, at first you're like, did that really happen? And
you start to think, what, did I imagine that?
What was that? But to me, it was so tangible and so real, and it really kind of took me out of sort of, I'll believe it when I see it, into, oh my goodness.
I just saw it.
Yeah, and there's something massive going on that I haven't seen yet.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Changed me.
And it also has to be comforting to know that that was her way of not only just saying, like, thank you, but, like, goodbye.
It was beautiful.
Like, I'm okay now.
And I felt that. I felt that it was just her, acknowledging that while... And there was no one else in the room. So I think that if her family had been there, she may have approached them maybe and touched them. But it was beautiful. It was truly beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that story.
It was such an amazing moment.
So another, stereotype about witches is that you guys are friends with ghosts, right? And that you manipulate ghosts. And for evil witches, like a lot of my expertise comes from evil witches with green faces and pointy hats.
Oh, I'm sorry I put so much makeup on. I really should have come in my natural state.
Do you drink water? So I love that you had that experience. And I wonder if your connection to witchcraft opened you up to that.
I think it did, for sure. I think I was already doing psychic readings, and I was already practicing these earth-based practices. I just had never worked on mediumship yet. I hadn't worked with the spirit realm, with working with those who have crossed over.
And do you now?
Oh yeah.
Oh, because and I'm sure you and Matthew Stapley have talked a lot about that, because that's how we met him, is through his work as a medium.
Yeah, he's incredible. He's extremely
Jenna
gifted.
could tell you.
I can attest to that.
Go ahead.
Jenna can tell you.
I can tell you that. First time I met Matthew Stapley, I was working at a radio station, and I was on middays, and my friend had just passed away pretty tragically, and me and my friends had not healed whatsoever. And I was minding my own business in another room, and he was on air at the time because I wasn't on a show with him yet. And he texted me and said, "Oh my God, do you have the radio on?" And I was like, "No." Whenever you work at a radio station, you never have the radio station on.
Yeah.
And I was like, "No." And he's like, "Oh my God." And so I met Matthew in the hallway, and he just started telling me just a bunch of things and stuff that I didn't even really know yet. And my whole body was shivering, and I can't remember who he had with him, this lovely lady. And she touched, and everything was calm, but he said so much. And it was like all of a sudden I could heal. That was the thing. It was like them giving you the go ahead through this stranger. But the things that he said were things that, like I said, I didn't know. Like the biggest one was I couldn't go to unfortunately my job didn't allow me to go to the funeral. And he's like, "Oh, does he like nice shiny things?" And I'm like jewelry and stuff. I'm like, "Well, didn't like nice things," but he wasn't like gaudy like some weird Italian or anything like that, you know?
Those weird Italians.
Right. And he goes, he just keeps pointing to his wrists and like going like this. And so I was talking to my friend at home and who was really close with him and goes, "Oh yeah, his brother put a $10,000 watch on his wrist before we cremated him."
Oh, wow.
So there's little things like that. And honestly, it helped with healing big time.
Well, that was so fascinating for me because I was on air, and here I'm Matthew. We have like a short little window to do this interview, and I want him to talk about me, and he keeps saying there's a spirit here that needs to talk to Jenna, and I'm like, it's not about fucking Jenna, it's our show. Let's be here. But the things he was saying were about how her friend had passed away, and that you had just got this news, right? So I
think it was weeks after it happened.
You know, these details. And I was like, "Oh my God, Matthew is like hitting this," and there's no way he would have known.
And he actually said, "I cannot go on with," because they were taking calls over the phone. He goes, "I can't go forward because he will not leave me alone."
Oh yeah, they'll sometimes just keep nagging at you.
I will say Dane was a big personality, so the fact that he wouldn't leave this guy alone, wouldn't leave Matthew alone, was not shocking to me in the least bit. But it was an amazing healing experience, and I would say that I was also a skeptic. I wasn't a skeptic necessarily. It wasn't that I didn't believe it. Show me.
Yeah.
And then I'll believe. And right then in their mediumship, I was like, I'm on board with this. And I took my friends to see him after. And,
amazing.
You know, and I said, even at the end of the day, because a lot of people talk about it being fraudulent.
It can
You're
be.
preying on grieving people, making money off of them. I say, but at the end of the day, if you can help these people heal in some sort of way and find peace, what's the harm in it? It's if people come to you every week wanting answers about their future and their life, that's different. But if you can offer a moment of healing for someone, to me, that would have been that moment was worth anything for me.
It sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you had that experience.
Right.
I think it's healthy to be skeptical.
You said that earlier. I'm interested about that. Why?
I think that we are all intuitive, psychic people. Every one of us. You are. It has to resonate with yourself. Leaving our power up to someone else, handing it over to anyone else, and sort of foregoing our ability to choose for ourselves, in my opinion, is dangerous. And I think that ethical psychics will not create an addictive pattern with you. Right. They're not going to exploit. They're going to work, which Matt does, I do, on a pay if pleased basis for the highest good. That it's not about trying to wring somebody for their money. And there are people who could exploit this. I'm very, very skeptical.
Well, we've seen it, famous ones. What was it?
Don't tell me
lady.
The Long Island medium.
No.
Cleo.
Miss Cleo.
Call me now.
Miss Cleo hotline when I first started.
You did?
I did. And I only did it for about 6 weeks and I got fired.
Why? Because you were too accurate?
No, I wish that was the reason. I got fired because these people were paying, I think at that time, $3.99 or $4 a minute.
Jeez.
And when the reading was done, I wanted them off the phone. I wasn't going to keep them on. And they kept saying, just start talking to them about anything.
To get the money.
Tell them that you see angels behind them or that you can hear something in the background. And I just wouldn't do it. And they were listening to my calls, and I would be like talking really fast, and then it's over like in a few minutes, like, get out, you're paying so much money. You can tell some of these people didn't have the money either, and they were hanging on to hope. And so I would end it quick, and I got fired.
So they didn't want a real psychic. They wanted a charlatan.
Well, they don't know the difference when they're making those calls, right? They're hoping to get what they need. It's just the design of that was to keep them on the phone as long as possible, get that name and address capture. We got paid more for those types of things.
How many psychics, I'm putting air quotes because obviously they weren't all real, how many worked like at the Miss Cleo hotline?
I don't know. I have no idea. All I know is I was interviewed over the phone. And it is kind of, I'm really throwing them under the bus.
That's all right. Over now.
She's in jail. Or now she's dead.
Oh, all right.
But she was in jail.
Sorry,
she died
ma'am.
in jail, I'm pretty sure.
I was told in my interview, and I was using tarot, and I was serious about it. Like for me, I was taking this very serious. And the person on the phone said, I suggest you get a tarot deck because sometimes the people want to know you're really looking at cards. Like just have that prop there so that you can reference a card or two. And I'm thinking,
I do.
What? I am. This is, I have them in front of me. And I realized in hindsight that they were hiring anybody.
They were treating like an audition.
It was a call center.
Yeah.
It was a call center.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It was. Yes, but that's how I kind of bust out into the world of that stuff.
I guess so.
It's true.
So if there's people out there that, let's say, want to incorporate witch life into helping solve some things in their lives, like let's say they're really unlucky when it comes to dating.
See, there's a reason I brought up those love spells, Wendy.
Right.
Now we're getting there.
What would you
I
suggest
we were
is
going
like
there.
something that they can do, just like basics?
Yep.
That could help, open themselves up to that kind of energy to come in and love me.
You already said what it is that would be best for you, and that is anything that gives you the feeling that you are open to receive that which is for your highest good, the perfect pairing.
No candles I can light.
You can.
Can I buy a crystal?
When you're buying those crystals, when you're lighting those candles, your intention is for clarity, for the best that the world has to offer that is the perfect suitable match for you.
So these can be any candles. It's just taking the moment and time to
It's the intention behind each action. It's that extra step. I mean, of course, love, we think pink, passion, we think red. There's color associations. You don't have to use that, but a lot of people do, of course. But, if all you have is a weird tea light and you want to do this, you can still do that. You're going to charge it with your intention. But it's about preparing yourself to be open to that, recognizing without judgment what your patterns have been up until now, the type of individual and why. Sometimes we pick our punishers in our life, or we pick people that keep teaching us something over and over again. And as soon as we catch the pattern, we can go back and figure out, why have I been choosing this? How was this something I needed at one point that I'm willing to let go of now? And the new self is ready to receive joy, contentment, and the proper pairing.
Well, I know what we're doing tonight, Jesse, over dinner.
Lighting candles.
Lighting candles and welcoming in a whole bunch of loving.
Rose quartz is good. You'll hear a lot of people, that's the love stone and all of this. But I'm all about whatever your vibe is. You can dance around your kitchen and fling a bunch of herbs in a pile, light a candle, sing a song. But it's about, again, preparing your subconscious to receive that high vibrational perfect fit.
Right.
So one of the big things that people have been talking about in the past few years is The Secret or manifesting law of attraction. A lot of what you just said reminds me of that.
It is. I mean, I love that The Secret's out there and all that came out, but this is old stuff. This is like old knowledge from way, way back, is about alignment, taking personal responsibility, kind of working with and getting out of your own way to receive energy.
That's right.
Everything's energy, right?
Everything. But the hard part about The Secret is, or the critics of it anyway, will say, well, I do everything right and I really believe this and feel it, but then bad things still happen.
Maybe you're
or
just
I don't
trying
meet my
too
goal.
hard.
That's right. They're doing the actions, but it's about a feeling. It's ultimately, the actions are supposed to invoke an internal climate.
Right.
And I think that that's some of the missing piece that happened when that secret rage went on and everybody was making their collages and ready for like wealth to show up. And I feel like you have to almost get into the mindset that you already are
Well, that's
that
what they
which you
say.
wish to create.
But
it's
also,
hard to do.
It doesn't talk about the other energies that are at play in the universe that
That's
could
right.
move you in another direction.
And your patterns, your karmic patterns, and we all have that little monster inside of us, that self-destructive little beast that gets in our way. And we have to learn to befriend that monster, not get rid of it.
Right.
But understand why it's there, how it was created, and kind of sit down and have a glass of wine with it. Let it come in so that negative energy that maybe stops you from receiving joy becomes a part of your story that you are having a good relationship with, so it can get out of the way and let that happen.
A lot of this sounds like it's just self-awareness and being empathetic with yourself.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It's very much that. That's what energy work's all about, ultimately.
So you mentioned karmic patterns. So is karma real? Do you believe in karma?
Oh, I love that question.
Yeah, because look at all these famous, really wealthy people. They're dinks.
Like Elon Musk?
dinks.
Like Donald Trump.
Oh.
Like a horrible person, but the guy has literally everything he's ever strived for in his life.
He got the secret.
I'm sure he's missing something, if you know what I mean. But like, come on.
His little hands, too.
Yeah.
Have bigger ones to cast his spells.
Right.
I think that when I hear karma, I think it's way overused. I think people get all hung up on, that's bad karma. This is bad karma. I think that karma really does go many, many lifetimes in of feeling worthy, being content with ourselves. There's power issues. You've got all the vices, right? Power, greed, lust, all these things. And you take a person who isn't stable or hasn't learned these tools in the first place, then you subject them to great wealth, to fame, to power, and they can run amok with no one guiding them or helping them figure out those details. And I think it can go many lifetimes in. I don't think it's all about just tomorrow morning I'm grumpy and all of a sudden I've shifted my karmic pattern.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear.
Thank God.
Yeah, thank God. I like that many lifetimes. And you just reminded me of something my mom always jokes about. My mom suffers from a lot of health problems. And she jokes that in a past life, she must have been a serial killer to deserve all the things that have happened to her. Because she's the sweetest woman. Jenna knows her.
Wonderful.
Like, she'd never hurt a fly. But, like, it's not fair that she's been hit with all these challenges in her life. So it's something that she's always said is like, I was a serial killer in my past life.
Cute
But
is she? How sweet.
maybe she was.
She may well have been.
Maybe she was.
Has she had memories crop up in her dreams?
No, but it's I don't know whether it's a comforting thought, but it's kind of interesting that you say your lifetimes can affect your future.
She sounds to me, and I'm just kind of interjecting, she sounds like an absorber of the entire everything all around her. And sometimes that can saturate us and throw our health off, is absorbing everything around us endlessly and not being able to purge ourselves of that. We carry a lot of debris with us. You know what it's like to be around somebody who's miserable and grumpy, and it ends up like overflowing onto us. Even if we're living well, we can't help but sometimes become very saturated, and that can throw our health off tremendously.
Okay. It's interesting, too. In The Secret, I'm just thinking that someone criticized in that book, they talk about how even if you get cancer, it's kind of your own fault. Like, you did something to cause that chain of events, and people are like, how dare they say that, my mom, But I'm like, that's kind of what you just said, is like, a little shift could set this chain of events off.
I that's a tough one too, because I think fault is a tough word, right? I think bad things happen to good people. I think that the reality of life is sometimes there's chaos. Life can be great chaos. The universe, in its patterning and geometrics, still has an element of great chaos to it. And I think that we are little universes all inside ourselves.
That's a good way of putting it.
But I feel that way. I really do. I feel like we're each we're all just part of it all.
Well, have you ever seen that zoom in on an eyeball? It looks just like the universe.
It does, doesn't it?
Crazy.
And if you go under a microscope to the smallest level, you have the same patterning as you do at the most largest level of being able to view the world and life and energy as well. They're the same. It's real weird.
I can't get my head around it.
I love it. I love it. But I do think when it comes to, and I really do think that it is not fair to say that it's their fault that they have cancer.
Well, I'm paraphrasing. I don't think the book said that, but you know what I mean. Yeah.
But these people who are raging, say, against The Secret, I don't feel that you feel that way. But for me, I understand where they're everybody's arguing absolutes here. And there's all these incredible, powerful shades of gray that we can work within where, sure, we can't say it's all not somebody's fault or it's not about patterning and energy work and absorbing and our system, what we came in here to learn or to teach others as well, those patterns that maybe we chose before coming in. I think that's part of it. But I also think it's almost dangerous to go to extremes on either end of these theories.
Because nobody really knows, right?
No, and I saw a gravestone at a graveyard, and it said on it, and I just love it. It says, "Now I know something you don't."
No.
Oh, yeah.
And I just love that because
You would put something like that on your gravestone.
I would too. I think that's awesome.
What is it about graveyards that are so peaceful? Like,
I
I have
agree.
no
Yeah,
problem
I agree.
going. Like, sometimes when I'm stressed out, it's just, I live really close to the one on Montreal.
Lovely.
Which is also just historical, too. And
It's beautiful.
right, Wilfrid Laurier is buried there. But I'll just go and, like, wander around sometimes. And everyone's like, that's dark and morbid. I'm like, but it's so quiet. And no one's going to talk to you or question
Or
you.
you hope not, anyway.
Right. But no one questions you, talks to you. You just can be. Like...
I don't think our loved ones are squatting in graveyards,
Right.
lurking around, waiting for
Right.
people to walk through to scare them. I think that.
I mean, I'm going to do that when I'm
too.
dead.
I am too. I'm so gonna hide in people's attics
Do
and
you
like
think
swoop
that's
out.
true that you can mess with people when you die? Because
I
I'm
hope
kind
so.
of disappointed my grandmother hasn't messed with me yet. I even have like a little part of her. Like a little
of
tiny
her?
urn.
Oh,
I always
nice.
laugh and go, "Oh, there's her arm."
Yeah.
But you know, I've always kind of hoped to get like something. Like both of my grandmothers, I was very close to both of them. They died very close together, and sometimes because they both had those kind of personalities, that's like, okay, I'm gonna mess with you, but I haven't had anything yet. Nothing fall off, or maybe I'm just oblivious to it.
I think you'd know it if it happened. I think
Right.
you'd get a gut feeling that that was a message from them.
Right.
I would invite them in just to kind of put out the energy that you're wanting to be more receptive, that you're open. You don't want to be scared. You don't want something to
Right.
jump out and frighten you, but that you're open to receiving a message or to hear from them, so that you're open
And then my
to
grandma's like, "Fuck, I don't even care about you."
what's she saying?
Right?
But
You didn't give me grandbaby. Screw you.
not yet. You'll be rewarded later. But to come in while you're sleeping or through your dream
Right.
state or to go into a meditative state. A lot of times we're just so busy with our brains in our daily life that we are not sitting in a peaceful state in a highly receptive place.
Right.
And I think that that's part of it too, is giving the time to receive those messages. It's a little bit of exercise.
Yeah, because they don't work like the way we work in the physical world,
Yeah.
right? So
Right.
it might be different for them to contact us. The way we expect is not going to be the way they do it.
Oh, that's such a good point, because I think a lot of people just want their loved one to show up at the dining room table and sit down, and can't you just have a conversation?
Right.
And, you know, from at least what I've experienced, some spirits can, some spirits can't. Some are over there and they're just learning how to come through and communicate with us as well, and others know how to do it quite well and can like maneuver things a bit in this realm still. But from my experience, not all spirits kind of know how to come through or know the format. So for me, I think it's something of meeting not in the physical realm, but to meet in the meditative or in the realm of dream or possibility within yourself, and to ask for signs so you can research and be sure you got the right person
Right.
or you weren't making it up yourself.
Right.
Well, and maybe her grandmas have chosen to reincarnate.
Exactly.
So
And
they
there's
could already
always
be
that.
back.
That's right. And I do believe that that happens sometimes,
Yeah.
where they're back and they're fully active, and all you have is sort of an imprint of or a footprint of them when they were on the other side. And that is totally possible too.
You want to know, since I was a little boy, I've had this theory that when you die, you go to heaven or whatever it is, and you can watch like VHSs of all your previous lives. It's almost like,
Oh, I
and
love
then
that.
you file this one. Oh, and there we go. And let's go on to the next one. And you can watch them all back and appreciate them. Weird. Maybe that's the case. That'd be cool.
I think they do speak about that kind of thing in a lot of religions, where you kind of have to go through and almost watch a replay of your story and who you've been to decide what your next step or stage is. I love that for you. It's like you have the library there and you can pull out,
Yeah, it's
you know,
like a
check
Disney.
out the.
Yeah.
But I love that, and I'm not going to say that isn't so.
Who knows?
I'm a big one for. We are still, in my opinion, manifesting through choice what our experience will be, whether we're in the physical realm or not. That's my theory, but I have no proof.
Do you have a theory, and maybe you don't, on why, like, you know, how our human population's growing, and I love the idea of an afterlife and ghosts and all this stuff, but how do we explain adding more souls or people if everyone's been here before? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Where do they come from?
That's a question
You don't know.
Of great theology. And I feel like the measurement, I think we're all connected. So whatever format we are severed into, however many measurable, like to me, all life, all living things are all connected. All energy is connected. So for me, the thought that there are so many more people, so many more souls, I'm open to the fact that there's a infinite amount because it's limitless. We're all connected. I know this is wackadoodle.
Well, no, and it's like energy doesn't end, right? So,
That's right. So for me, I think our planet's been populated many times over. I do. I just think there's been catastrophes. And I don't feel that there's a measurable number and that we have to stay within that range.
Okay.
I think it's all about expansion and learning. And however we're divided up or numbered out, I don't feel there's an end to limit or a limit on that. I suppose. I don't know if that's a good answer.
No, that is a great answer.
That's a tough one. That's neat.
Have you ever had a supernatural experience other than what you mentioned in the hospice with the woman you were helping?
Shitloads of them.
Give us like a crazy one. Was there anything that scared you, like a dark one?
I've been frightened.
Have you ever been called into anyone's house to help them?
I do that
We've
quite a
seen
bit.
that show that used to be on A&E all the time, like where they had to call someone in to like somehow rid.
Oh, I do that several times a year.
Yeah.
I don't charge for it. Because,
Right. Well, I mean, there were stories where people woke up with giant scratches down their back, and
I've never been assaulted. I
Okay.
have witnessed someone being attacked, and it
Jeez.
was shocking. And it was this paranormal group that I was volunteering with, and we were doing an investigation, and there was this really kind of ominous energy in the space, and it really was oppressive. And for me, I want to, let's aim some light at it and let it go. And they wanted to study it, like one of those horror films where they're like capture
kind of
King
egg
Kong.
it on so
Yes.
they could get as much information and then let it free.
They didn't even want to let it free. They wanted to keep going back and observing and studying. So
Okay, what is this, Ghostbusters?
it was like that. It was weird. Anyhow, this guy, he was kind of hysterical. Like when I look back now, he was almost a comedy idea of what these Ghostbusters. He had every camera, he had all his gear, and we were in this location, and the spirit got to a spot that we were locked out of. The owners of the building had let us kind of have full range, except for this one space, and there was a cabinet that opened up from like the kitchen space that opened up into this other space on the other side. So the guy says, "Wendy, get on the counter and open that cabinet up there. Let's work with this energy." So I leap up on the counter and I open this thing up, and he was standing behind me, and it was an old school. It's actually a local school here.
I just got chills.
And I didn't see anything, and I'm going to be honest, I didn't feel anything, but the dude was knocked off his feet and thrown over 2 desks. They had 4 chairs on
Whoa.
each desk. He ended up in a lump on the floor behind the second desk, and I ran up to him, and I mean, I'm one of those people who laughs by mistake because I'm
Right.
just like,
It's a nervous laugh.
But his cameras were broken. He was like all kerfuffle. He thought it was the neatest thing ever. But I watched a man lifted off the floor and thrown, and in all honesty, I didn't feel anything.
And you're like, now do you want me to welcome light in and send it off on its way?
No, I
Right.
stopped working with them because they
You're right.
still wanted to study, and I thought, you guys are not doing anything for protection. They really wanted
Got
to
some
just come in.
sage? Come on.
Yeah, or just to put yourself in a state of safety and higher vibration, so
Right.
no negative energy can harm.
Well,
or
it's
hurt
almost
you.
like you were already in that state, so this negative ghost couldn't affect you that way, maybe. So you couldn't feel
exactly.
it. Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Well, and then you weren't the one messing with it.
Right, that's
This guy with all the cameras was.
I was checking it out. I mean, I'll admit I was like really intrigued by this energy. It was interesting, but that was something.
You know, it was some asshole of a teacher
Yeah,
too.
yeah, some
that was
crusty old
mean,
bitch,
like
yeah.
he
crusty old
was mean,
teacher.
and there were like these little children seemingly in the basement that were like
Ugh.
cowering. We released them, and I flew back psychically that night and kind of set this fella free.
So my question for you is, out of all the things you've seen and all the different types of people that you've dealt with and stuff, what is the one thing that actually scares you?
Oh.
Because like creepy little children spirits kitty spirits would.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those ones that they say are like
Right.
the soulless children that would come. What scares me?
Like, can you remember a moment that
People
you're
scare me. Humanity scares that.
yeah.
like
hell out of me.
living, walking
living
humans.
people? All the things the worst things that have ever happened to me happened at the hands of people.
People
so
suck.
people scare me.
They suck.
What
I'll say it
scares
for
me?
you.
That's great. I'm kind of a scaredy cat anyway. Like, I've been down in people's basements. I don't know why they want you to come at night and do this stuff.
Right?
Yeah, I know.
That's like the only hour you can connect.
What is this? And I've been like down there where I have to laugh at myself because I've been like had my hands shaking, and I'm like, I'm the professional. I'm the one called in here, and I'm like,
I'm scared.
down.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm a bit of a scaredy cat in general. I'm no just big out there kind of brave warrior with these things. I mean, I do like I can jump at the little. You just don't do it, please. But
No.
you can be like, and
She's
I'm
so friendly.
She
Yeah.
knew.
you know, but yeah, I kind of get scared in general. But I think it's more that all my spidey senses are up and I'm guarded. But when it comes to actually being frightened by, say, someone who thinks they're possessed or is behaving in that way, or a scary, say, energy that's, causing chaos, I haven't had that where I'm like terrified.
And when you mention someone possessed, is that a dark spirit or is that like a demon in the classic sense?
Again,
Could be either.
Really difficult to say because for me, demons are again. I think
Well, it's just a word for dark energy, right?
Yeah, I know that. I think demons actually go into a category of being a definable thing of the. I don't think every person that is behaving that way is affected by a spirit attacking them. I think that we have dark psychological states that can create a lot of those behaviors. Though I do believe that sometimes there's influence when we are very unhealthy. Things can jump in and out of us. I've had that happen, which was frightening, actually, where a man jumped in to talk to his loved one through me, and I was inside screaming, "Get out, get out, get out." And it was very frightening.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that was possible till it happened to me.
Wow.
And he got out. He was okay. He apologized.
He was respectful.
When he
was
got
a
out,
gentleman.
he was like, "I'm sorry," and
I just needed it. I needed
But
to.
I'd never had that happen. I didn't know. It was
But that's like an
possible.
advanced spirit because we were talking about some can't even
Some can't even
communicate,
come.
and
That's
here
right.
he could come and take you over.
It was
Wow.
a bit overwhelming.
I
So
bet.
I think the when we go back to possession, I think that this is a really vague category
Yeah,
where
okay.
you really have to work on influences, psychology, patterning, pasts, mental health issues.
I was
going
going to say mental health is a big...
and then to look at belief systems, and if anybody's been doing conjuring, say, of a sort, where they're doing dark energy, dark magic, and asking for these things to come through too, you can get very unhealthy and affected by that
Right.
kind of stuff too. So to me, it's a huge category that is worthy of loads and loads of investigation before you take any action
Okay.
with
Right.
someone.
Practice precaution.
Yeah,
Safe
safety first.
spiriting.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, wait. Our time's almost up, but I have two more questions.
I have one more too.
Okay, great.
But
These are
mine can
great.
be at the end because I think it's a great way to wrap it up.
Well, I have a great way to wrap it up.
Okay.
Too.
Well, then
let
I'll
the
ask
psychic
mine right now.
No. Mine's more of a okay.
We just
you mentioned.
I love it. I love
No,
it.
I get to go. No, you
Well,
get to go.
these
They're
are the type
fighting
of
over
guests.
me.
Yeah, we could be here for like all day. But you said the haunted school. You flew back psychically at night. Is
I
that
did.
like an lucid dream?
Yeah, I love astral projection. This is one of the things that I
Oh,
was
yeah.
doing since I was quite young, and it's part of what led me into kind of looking into what the heck is this? I'm flying every night. But just this out-of-body experience where you can go and, I mean, you don't want to spy on people. You have to remain ethical, but leaving your body. And I do believe that we can become quite separate from our physical form.
See, that's why we're not witches, Jenna.
Right, because
we'd
I'd
doing-
totally be
we'd
spying on
bad.
a lot
You
of
guys
people.
are little witches. That's how I can tell.
I will, again, mine's not like too serious of a question. So do you want to ask?
Well, I was gonna say, like, let's do something fun. Like, is there something you can do with us? Or is there a spirit around? Is there a little hocus pocus thing we could do together?
And I was just going to ask
Hocus.
you what, out of all the television / film witches, which one do you think is the most accurate?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's awesome.
Because the one I love is that movie, and I can't remember.
Practical
it's-
Magic.
Yes.
I love practical
Was
magic.
that the Sandra
Lime in
Bullock?
coconut and
Yeah. Cher.
Nicole Kidman.
Or not Cher. Is it Cher?
Was it Cher?
Oh, you're thinking of the one with
Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson.
Um,
Oh, the witch.
This is different.
Witches
The
of
Witches
Eastwick.
Yeah.
Another good one.
This one is with, oh my gosh.
It's Sandra
with
Bullock.
Nicole
Sandra
Kidman
Bullock.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Sandra Bullock.
That's my favorite.
And I can't remember who the mom was or whatever, where the guy's abusing her.
Soccer
and then,
Channing was one of them.
Yeah, and then they bury him in the garden and all the roses
and he
come
comes
that
out.
was cool.
Such a good movie.
I'm not about murder and burying people and whether or not those spirits are going to come haunt us, but I have to say I do feel like if I'm killing people and throwing them in a garden, they're probably going to come back and, go after me.
But I mean, granted, he was abusing her.
That's tough.
Yeah.
I to me,
Not Hocus Pocus.
Sabrina.
that's really tough. I lean towards practical magic just because of the spell work that they're doing and the herbs and sort
that
of the
kind
lifestyle.
of denied their...
And how you're oppressed sometimes by the community,
right?
And
they
it's
were
very
much so.
Yeah, and it's out there. Like people are so misunderstanding of what this is that they are ready.
I think they automatically assume it's dark, and it's not dark.
Yeah.
or that you're crazy.
Right.
That this is not real. And it's as real as any other belief system or practicing thing that people do. And to me, it's very real, which in itself creates the reality of it.
Well, it's crazy that people were so threatened by powerful women or women with will that the witch trials were even such a big, horrific thing when they were,
Well,
right?
it's horrible. And you could tell on your neighbor and have them put to death for, oh, my cat died, it's their fault, just because you didn't like them.
We could use a little bit of that these days, but,
Bring it back.
Some people, but,
Yeah.
Okay, what about something hocus pocusy,
I know,
Wendy?
I'm thinking, oh my God.
Is there a ghost sitting on producer
Light
John's
as a feather,
shoulder?
stiff as a board. Light as a feather,
Yeah,
stiff as a
let's
board.
lift each other.
Are you getting
not
any
these
weird
days.
energies? Like, should we be careful driving home? Like,
Oh my gosh, no. No, don't suggest that. What I would love is to work on, if it's okay if we aim at you for this manifesting of that which is for your highest good.
Okay.
And
well, I need a boyfriend too.
Oh,
Jesus.
well, then
No,
both
don't go
of
with
you.
Jenna. She's
No,
more desperate.
But you can both do it.
Okay.
I don't know about your personal life. So it's about opening up to being receptive to that. I don't know if it's really going to, it's not like some mist is going to float up over here, but really coming up with a mantra for yourself of receiving, getting out of your own way, being open to it. I have to say, I almost feel like for you, it's changing really quickly anyway. Like you already are in a receptive mindset, not just hungry for it. You're receptive to it at a whole new level. Like you're changing the style, the type, and the patterning of your people.
She literally has changed the type.
Yeah,
the
I
type
feel
of
like
guy.
it's totally
Because the old
different.
type wasn't working very well.
It brought you something. It taught you something.
It did.
And for you, when I look at it, I feel like you're a pursuer. You're someone who wants to go and choose for yourself versus waiting for it to come. I feel that way. So I almost feel like for you, wording it in a way that you trust yourself to choose well. Because I think a lot of times we question, what if I don't know? What if I can't choose well? What if I choose wrong or put in all this time and it doesn't work out? And I feel like a lot of being able to prepare ourselves to receive the best balanced energy is to trust that we're able to choose well. And I feel like being able to get into that mindset that you trust yourself, that you're ready to receive. That's as hocus pocus.
Well, I
as
think
can
that
get.
actually makes sense for you too.
No, it does. Well, especially if you're like, why am I not, finding someone, or why am I not liking the ones that like me back? It's okay, wait and trust yourself that when there is that connection, you'll find it.
When you say, why am I not, do you come up with an answer? Like, do you get an answer?
No.
I've been doing this for this long because of these patterns.
No, he texts me for
Yeah,
answers.
yeah, that's what I do.
Yay! That's what friends are for.
Well, no, a lot of it, I think, if we're talking about dating, is that you'll have people that reach out or want to go out or something, and you just don't feel it. So you're like, ugh, but then you start to question, what's wrong with me? Why am I not giving these people a chance? Why am I blocking myself?
I would love for you, every single time you hear yourself saying, what's wrong with me? Why can't I? Is to be able to say, in the past, I used to have these patterns, but I am now manifesting a different balance. I'm now shifting from feeling that there's something wrong with me to empowering myself to know I had to accept that and then break away from the pattern of thinking I'm broken, of thinking I'm not deserved, or as much as I want it, what if I fail, or why doesn't it happen to me? And those are permanent statements. You keep telling your subconscious, I'm not going to get this. I'm not able to.
Or why bother? Yeah.
Yeah.
Write it in lipstick on your mirror for the morning, honey.
I'm sorry I don't have like a
No,
hocus
that's
pocus
good.
kind of thing.
I
I
know,
should have prepared.
Poof.
Can you turn John into something? Turn John into a toad?
John is something.
Aww.
Jesse, you have to put some more wine in your glass
Yes, I
before
do.
we cheers.
I know,
because
and I
you
have
can't.
just
Right.
been holding back.
That's okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us. Please tell people where they can go to find you.
Luvdragons, LUVDRAGONS.ca. And I'm out there. You can also look up Psychic Wendy James. You'll find me all over the place. And I have a hashtag because I'm doing a 365-day gratitude journal. And today is day 355.
Oh, you're almost there.
And I want to thank you guys because I'm almost there. I got 10 days left, but it's hashtag Wendy's 365.
Are we going in the journal?
You are my journal. Today, you guys are my topic. I can't wait to do it.
And we're grateful for you too, Wendy.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you
guys
for
are
sharing
awesome.
your life and story with us. We always
Those
appreciate it.
were great questions.
One more question. What's your favorite color?
Maroon.
Is that your aura color?
I hope not.
Oh, why? Is that a bad aura color?
No.
Oh, here we go. New interview started.
I have an
okay.
earthy feeling to that. No, I hope my aura changes colors a lot.
I've heard
it's
they do.
Spattering and
Can you
bright.
see auras?
Yes.
What's
and
Jenna's?
in trees and things.
Oh.
Your aura to me is very silver and blue, but I feel like it's
That turquoise color of that damn.
Yeah, it's turquoise. It's like a Caribbean blue kind of for me.
It's a color all over her apartment.
love
So yeah.
water.
Oh, is it? Oh, that's good. Good.
Okay, quick.
Self-healing.
John's aura. Blue.
Very dark. No.
very dark.
No, actually, John's aura is
Leather.
very playful, very yellow, creative, playful, bright yellow energy from what I see with a tiny bit of orange underneath. And I see a lot of orange on you as well.
I'll tell you something.
What?
Well, no, you finished. Go on.
Well, your sensual center, your sensual self, your to me, I see a lot of orange. I feel like it's an empowerment kind of cleansing, clearing color for you.
Interesting. I look terrible in orange, but I'll take
I do
it.
too. I look
because-
like
Everybody
I'm dead.
looks
I
terrible
so
in
look bad.
orange.
But it's a happy color. And when I asked this question to Matthew Stapley years ago, I was like, please tell me my aura is sequin pink. And he said, well, you're not far off. It's sort of a pinky orange.
Oh, really? Oh,
like
that's
a
awesome.
sunset color. I was like,
Yeah,
I'll take it.
It is very sunsetty, and I like that. I feel like you're
Let's go to the
always
beach.
looking for information and knowledge. I think you're always open to expand. It's a hunger in you. I like it.
Great.
Thank you.
All right.
Wendy James, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers.
Yay.
Dun, 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 dun.